oftentimes we talk about culture like it's just that is the way it is in this organization. But I guess I've seen it differently in different departments, in different teams. Culture can be different.
For me, culture is how the company does things. We have the vision and the values and all that, but how we implement it and the way we lead, the way we look at problems, the way we face things, that's a culture. What are the solutions in a positive way, using emotional intelligence? That is the most effective way to execute and be successful.
For me, it's really about, how we interact, how we behave. Some people refer to as their special sauce. Like every organisation has a culture, but also just how we learn to recognise each other's strengths and putting that into good. G'day everyone and welcome to this episode of the Lean Solutions Podcast. Joined by your host, Catherine McDonald, and myself, Andy Olrich. How you going, Catherine?
I'm very well, Andy. How are you?
I'm going sensational. Really, really excited to not only see you, but also for our great guest that will join us today. And such an important topic that we're going to walk through today, and it's about sustaining culture and connection. Super important when it comes to building cultures of continuous improvement that thrive and get us to where we need to be or want to be. What do you think, Catherine, when it comes to sustaining that culture? We've all got a culture in our workplaces, but that culture that we seek out around culture and connection, what are some of the key things that stand out for you?
So important and so underrated. People just don't think about the culture of their organization when it comes to trying to implement the changes they want to implement. It affects everything, and every organization is different. So it's something that really needs to be understood is the culture. And I suppose when we talk about culture, I think even people's definitions or understanding of what culture is different. So as we're going to be using the word a lot today, Andy, what do you think? When we say the culture of an organization, what does that mean to you?
For me, it's really about, how we interact, how we behave. Some people refer to as their special sauce. Like every organization has a culture, sometimes a really, really good one, and sometimes it can be pretty toxic. So for me, the culture of an organization is not only what I see, but what I feel and hear when I walk through an organization, how we interact with people, how we address challenges and in particular problem solving, but also just how we learn to recognize each other's strengths and putting that into good use. Okay, so that for me is really, and I love that saying. One of the first things I heard when I started getting right into this stuff was culture eats strategy for breakfast. So important, like you said, so underrated. And culture is really about how we present and behave ourselves and our leadership. And it can be the difference for me in particular about whether I choose to join or work with an organization or not. So really important for me.
It's the how. You kept using that word, but that's it, isn't it? It's the how behind the what. Not just the process, the values, but how do we do all of this? Yeah, good call. So we have an exciting guest today, Andy, yeah?
We do. We're very lucky today to have the wonderful Leire Martinez, and she's going to join us here. I'm going to let you do the bio, Catherine, and then we'll bring it to the stage. So, take it away, please.
Great, I'd be delighted. So today we are joined by Leire Martinez Galazara. With a strong Lean Six Sigma background, she is experienced as an operations director, a plant manager, a production manager, and a continuous improvement manager in the automotive sector. She has worked within the VUCA environment. And for anybody who's not sure what that means, we say VUCA when we refer to a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment. And she says herself she's gone through challenging periods such as COVID, the chip crisis, and material shortages. Her aim now is to inspire the teams she works with to achieve results as one, and always acting with integrity, a willingness to win, and a commitment to making tomorrow better. So welcome to the show, Leire.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello. How are you?
Fine. Very excited to be here with you today.
Good. We are delighted you are here. So I know I just gave a small little background information there, but maybe, I suppose, Leire, tell us what's happening for you right now. How is work going? What's going well? What are the challenges you're facing? Just let us know how you're getting on, and then we'll maybe hop into some more focused chat on culture.
Okay, so the main challenge I'm focusing right now is in the automotive market of Europe, which is in a declining mode. So we really need to flex ourselves to the new situation and be able to perform effectively.
Okay. And tell us a little bit more then about, so you are now operations director, is that right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about how many people you have reporting to you. What does that look like?
Okay, so currently I have about 3,700 people reporting to the region. We have 5 production plants and 2 distribution centers.
Whereabouts are you located exactly at the moment in your role?
I'm located in my home village. So I have one of the plants. It's near where I live in the north of Spain, in the Basque Country, in Bilbao. The plant is in Ermua. So I'm located here, but I'm traveling every week to the other European sites. So we have sites in Czechia, in Poland, in Belgium, in Spain, and then in South Africa.
Wow, that's a lot. That is tough going. How are you finding that? It's amazing. It's amazing that you're doing that. It's amazing to be able to do that. But yeah, how are you finding it?
Well, not easy, but as we were talking about the culture, the mindset is very important to drive performance, and you really need a strong team to be able to execute every day and to live in this complicated environment. So I really support the plant managers. They are the ones leading the company, and my main role is to support them and help them with whatever they need to be able to execute.
That absolutely. And the automotive industry, at this point in time, we're a couple of weeks behind when this will be released, but there is a lot of talk about the automotive industries, and in particular, from Europe and places around the world, challenges in markets and things like that. So I guess it's probably a good point to lead into our first question is like, you spread across a large area, that connection, how you say that the leaders need the support. How do you maintain a good connection with your leaders, and especially in that hybrid work environment, which is, you probably can't go everywhere for every meeting. What would be the biggest challenge you have in that space?
So the biggest challenges is to get the team accountable with the situation, and to have the culture that the company is expecting. That, as you shared, the culture is important because a company wants everyone to drive in the same way. So in order to share the culture, what I normally do is I try to have conferences where I get people together in one site, so that we get to share our concerns, we get to share our targets, and we get to share also the best way of implementing improvements. And there I try to take the opportunity of those moments to build a team, to connect personally with the team, and also to create trust. To be able to, after, when we're not together, be able to connect and be informed whenever there's any thing that it needs to be escalated, that they're not able to manage by themselves and that they need my support. I always share with them that the sooner they share it, the better I can support and I can help. So building a relation and with the team is crucial.
Oh, yeah. And I suppose, obviously, as operations manager, it's something that it's probably the biggest part of your role is to set the expectations, bring clarity to the team, bring people together, try and obviously step back and develop people to be able to do the work. It's not like you want to be on a plane every day of the week trying to put out all the fires. So it's really important. That's such a big part of your job, is to be able to do that. And what do you think, Leire, when it comes to culture? What do you think what does the word culture mean to you? Working in these, I suppose, bigger organizations in manufacturing, what does culture mean? And is culture understood as the same thing throughout the organization, do you think?
For me, culture is how the company does things. So we have the vision and the values and all that, but how we implement it and the way we lead, the way we look at problems, the way we face things, that's a culture for me. So it's not the same an environment where we all sharing excuses about what happened. That's a different culture than a culture of okay, this happened, but I'm not blaming anyone, and I'm just looking for a solution, and I'm driving execution and going forward. So that's culture, is how we implement, and the only way we can share that with the team is not only training but also leading with example, being present, creating that trust, and have conversations with people. And whenever there's a problem, try to build on solutions instead of blaming or looking for, for what happened. We really need to look forward on what are the solutions, in a positive way, using emotional intelligence. That is the most effective way to execute and be.
Yeah, a couple of gems in there. We have talked a fair bit over the years in this podcast around blame cultures and how it can, in the absence of accountability, we assign blame, and how you can, especially I think in your position remotely, try and see that and try and steer back to the way that you would like, how you would like people to interact with each other. So important. And the other thing that you touched on, I'll let Catherine do the next question, but that emotional intelligence, that's something, the softer skills is definitely something that we a lot of great leaders like yourself are talking about a lot more these days. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, Catherine.
Which is really good to see. Yeah, and just, I suppose, when it comes to culture, I always wonder how leaders in different organizations see this. Do you think, Leire, that there can be different cultures within the one organization? Because oftentimes we talk about culture like it's just, that is the way it is in this organization. But I guess I've seen it differently in different departments, in different teams. Culture can be different. I mean, is that your experience?
Yes, for sure. Culture is not the same at every level. Culture is not the same in every plant. The ideal would be that everything is the same if we want to make sure that the culture is implemented. But the reality is that every region, every country has a different culture, and it's mainly driven by different reasons. It's driven by a cultural thing many times. It's not the same in Asia than in Europe or in America. It's also driven by the leadership style there. Okay, so for me, driving culture, it's the leadership is key to be able to implement culture in an environment. Depending how the leadership is acting, or how they speak, how they front problems, that's a culture that the plant is going to have. Okay, and you can even extrapolate it to the department. Depending on the leader of the department, how he's acting with the team, it's also impacting in the culture. So the challenge for the companies is being able to have the leaders have the culture they want, and sometimes they're successful doing it, and you're able to change how people are leading and be able to implement the culture, and sometimes you're not. And when you're not, sometimes you need to change leadership to be sure that they're driving the culture that the company is looking for, especially if the company has a culture driving execution process. Okay, not all companies are so worried about culture. So
yeah, but it just affects everything. I've often heard it said that the culture is a mixture of what you actively promote and drive, like you said, and what you subconsciously accept or tolerate. So
correct.
It's both of those things. So in terms of leader behavior, they're really both of those things we have to look at. Well, what are we saying? What are we driving? What are we communicating? And then what are we just maybe ignoring or accepting? So yes, the leader's behavior in all of those ways, I think, is crucial. Maybe talk to us a little bit then about the culture that you have faced, because I'm sure there have been many, and not all of them have been easy to understand, to shape. Tell us a little bit about that, if you can.
Yeah, so I had the experience at the plant, having to drive. I had to do with the team a turnaround of a plant with in the crisis situation. So the culture you need to do the turnaround of the plant is different than the culture you might need in an environment where there's more controlled. So when I was trying to turn around with the team in a plant, the culture needed was we really wanted people to make problems visible, because the only way to improve is trying to know where the problems are to be able to drive solutions. So we avoided all moment the blaming culture, trying to make people comfortable with rising, stop, call, and wait, raising their hands for problems, and also motivating the team with doing improvements in small pilot areas so that the other areas would like to have the same in theirs. So they would pull you to try to improve and to drive the turnaround of the plant. So a very positive mindset. I remember when I started in the plant, nobody smiled. So I was in the same team, and I asked my team to try to smile whenever they were going through the corridors. They thought I was crazy, but for me, that is very important. Just smiling and feeling people comfortable with coming to you and sharing with you their concerns. So we really tried to do a positive mindset, trying to make people understand that we were there to support, and that doesn't matter the complicated situation that we're facing, we would, as a team, work together to solve it. So that worked really pretty well. In like 15 months, we were able to do the turnaround, and little by little, it started to stabilize, and that worked very good during a lot of years. And we had different leadership styles along the years. So at that stage, really the culture was at the plant level. We didn't have really a strategy from a culture point of view from the company. Okay, so it was more independent from the plant. Now we have a new leadership coming on, and we are really having trainings and sharing information about the culture they want, and we're really driving that through the different sites. So now there is a clear path that the company wants to have a culture, and it's very similar to what I'm used to and to what I'm comfortable with. Looking as a positive way, as a big mindset, really thinking that everything is possible. And if you share that mindset and that you feel comfortable with it, if people see that you are sure about it, people will follow you, and they'll also do the same as you.
Yeah, typical just role modeling. It's a really great example, actually, of the leader's role in all of this, isn't it, Andy?
Yeah.
We often talk about leadership and the impact on culture, but it's great to hear you talking about what you've actually done, And it's so funny the way you say asking people to smile. Like, we always talk about how mindset shapes behavior, how you have to have the right mindset first, but sometimes it's the other way around. Behavior can shape
Behavior.
mindset. Yeah, it comes
sure.
back down to behaviors. Yeah. Great. Andy, any thoughts then on, I suppose, anything we're hearing there, and any questions yourself on all of that?
So right on. I love the try to smile. I love that approach. One of the things, so that all sounds great, but myself and a lot of our listeners, we're really interested in, okay, well, how do you sort of bring that together with the tools or the artifacts, and what's some of the things that you've deployed, or you've put that framework and structure across all those sites? You talked about cultural differences, obviously across different countries, they can bring a different dynamic. I mean, even here in Australia, we're quite a large country, and there is differences in the way that we think and act in some areas just across this landscape. So what's some of the structure or the systems that you've put in to try and get everybody not only thinking or feeling the same way, but looking at the same things at the same times?
So from a culture point of view, training is important, putting the team together, sharing the mindset, sharing the targets and where we want to be. It's important so that people understand how we want to drive that. And then for sure, coaching sessions, training sessions where you put people together and you start talking about difficult conversations, about difficult meetings, about how we react in the meetings, and how we manage change, how we manage difficult situations, so that it's important. And always making a special focus in the leading with example, being positive, maintaining calm also in this complicated environment, having the leadership appear as a calm person and appear as if everything is in control really helps the team to feel safer whenever they drive into difficult situations.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to dig down another layer, and I don't want it to be about the tools. We know it's not about the tools, but when you're having your, for example, hybrid meeting, or you're there on the floor on site, I'm really keen to understand, like, what do you look at? Like, what are some of the ways that you capture and show performance data, or ideas or customer feedback? How do you put that in front of the workforce around that and get them on that, that 3 to 10 second rule, so we really know what's going on if there aren't people around to have that conversation as well?
Okay, so it depends of the situation that you're facing. For example, I can share how we managed the situation when we started in the plant in such a crisis situation. So the first is identifying which is your major problem. At that stage, we were in back orders because we didn't have capacity to manage all the demand from the customer. So the first thing you need to do is set the processes in to make sure you fill the customer demand. Because if not, you're going to start having claims and your problems getting worse. So first, control the planning and make sure that the parts are being shipped from your plant, and that it's only possible if you improve your processes, because many times your lines are not performing correctly. There's breakdowns, there's issues, there's lack of components in the lines. So what we did is we identified the area that required more improvement and that had the higher impact in the P&L. That in Spain is normally areas would have the higher number of people in the lines. So whatever you improve in that area, you're gonna improve the capacity because you're improving the output of the line. So we went into that area. We put a SWAT team with a person of every department. And we put it board with the main KPIs: safety, quality, cost, delivery, people. And I started to measure the main KPIs to assure performance. We implemented also 5S. We put the area very pretty, so people enjoyed better working there in a safer way. They didn't struggle as much because everything was more controlled. So we use that area as a pilot area, make people aware of the change, and then everyone that passed through there started to see the change. And little by little, we started to implement that in other areas, always focused in the biggest impact in the performance of the plant. So those areas that will really improve the performance of the plant. And the best way of getting the accountability of the people is having them participate in the workshops. The ideas of the workers were the ideas that were implemented. They were identifying where to improve. And at the end, you always have a strategy of how to implement, but you have the ability to make the team members accountable because they think they are implementing their own ideas. So that's the best way to maintain in the future and get them perform always the way expected.
Yeah, it's steering away from that micromanagement. So, and yeah, that which can sometimes come across if it's too rigid and too.
Normally, when people are in crisis situation, the micromanagement is normally needed. Once you are in a stable situation, you can start deploying and giving ownership to the team. So that is one of the things I always defend. Whenever I have a team, I give accountability to all of them. I really empower them to get responsibilities. So I try not to jump into the meetings only when it's really escalated, and make the team take their own decisions. Always they have a conversation with me previously to align on what they are gonna say, but they are the ones taking the decisions, and they are the ones in the front line making things occur. And that's the only way when you're a plant manager that you can execute efficiently, because if not, you don't have time enough to look at everything.
Yeah, everything you're talking about, it reminds me of the importance of respect for people, because
Sure.
Everything you do there, you've said, including people, giving autonomy to people, making it clear to people, transparency. All of these things are actually respectful to people, and we've said it before, but respect for people goes way beyond saying please and thank you to people. It really is about being clear, setting the expectations, giving autonomy, and then figuring out the supports that people need to be able to do the best job they possibly can. So so much of that really rings true for me in terms of respect for people as well. It's like within the structure, because there's a very clear structure to what you're doing here. It's not laissez-faire leadership, it's structured, but there's flexibility and autonomy within that structure, which is key, really, isn't it?
Yeah. That's exactly what you said. We need to know the capability of each of them, coach them if needed, change them if they're not the correct person. But once we select the team and we are sure about it, we really have to empower them to get accountability and have them take the decisions for their areas.
Yeah. Great. And how do you do that, Leire? I suppose I'm wondering, because what I've normally seen is, let's say, one-to-ones being set up between managers and their team members, in terms of the communication structures. Are there weekly team meetings? What kind of communication systems and structures are there to put this all into action and communicate properly?
So communication is key. It's key to align all the plant, especially at the plant level. Then we can talk also at the regional level. But at the plant level, there has to be communication every day at every level. So there's normally a structure of communication. You have the different levels of communication. You have the team leader with the team members communication, group leader with team leaders communication, managers with group leaders communication, and plant management with management communication. And they do it through the KPI boards. So in a top 5 at the beginning of the shift, they talk about what happened yesterday, what is the plan for today, any issues. Let's raise an improvement card, a T card that we call it, to try to improve the situation. And that's the way we're getting the ideas from the team members. So the team leader is asking the team members, what happened yesterday? What do you think should have been done to solve the situation? So that's also increasing the accountability and their ownership. Then we have the next level where the group leader and the team leader are also sharing that information on a daily basis, and also from the management team and the group leaders. And each level you have different KPIs, and at each level we're also creating improvement cards and ideas and projects. Okay, so that's really creates a communication of from down to up. Well, from up to down, the KPIs we want to measure and the strategy, and from down to up, the status of the KPIs, if we're following the strategy and the improvements needed to execute the strategy. So that's for the daily performance. Also, communication is important towards the team members so that they are aware about business updates. What we used to do, we used to call it online. So we had a weekly meeting with all the management team, had weekly meetings with all the direct line was the name. Sorry, I didn't remember. So it was called direct line. So once a week, the management team would take all group leaders and all team leaders together and share the business updates related to safety, quality, cost, delivery, people, customers, any updates needed every single week. And we normally did a communication that we read, and then we asked for questions so that they can clarify. And that same paper with the communication, we will give them to the team leaders. So in the next top 5 of the day, they will share with all the team members. So there we're also sharing the business updates, and we're creating a trust with all the plants so that because that's a thing that normally creates problems when people don't trust on the management of the plant and they think that they're hiding things. That also creates a bad culture in a plant. So creating communication and transparency is really helping to create confidence and trust within and improving the culture of the plant. So that was also key. And then we had the monthly meetings, more open, but that weekly meeting with what was happening in the business about demands, shortages, material crisis, especially during all these last years that we had a lot of problems, really helped the team feel comfortable and safe in the environment that we were working.
Yeah, I love the structure on that. I love the fact that it's not just our daily huddle, our weekly meeting, but it's so linked. It's so linked. They're all linked, and you're all linked to each other through your structure. Yeah. It's great. Yeah, really, really, really smart. Great. So, in terms of what you have faced, then, Leire, is there any particular challenges or struggles on the people side that you have had to face that maybe, I suppose, weakened the culture, and how did you deal with that?
Yes, tons of them. The people side, we always know that it's complicated. When I was in the plant, I used to use the one-to-ones a lot to try to manage things and to change things because I used to do 2 things. One, the ones-to-ones to get to understand what was happening, and people will share with me what was happening, and then I could also help them without them knowing, because I could speak with the other person and trying to solve things. I also used immediate feedback. That means that whenever there was a meeting and something went wrong or something should have been improved, I would just after the meeting try to spend 2 minutes or 3 with the person, try to explain what happened and trying to improve it, and how And I would normally do it in asking question, trying to coach. How did you feel today in the meeting? What do you think went good? What did you think went bad? I would do that when something I saw that was not going as it should. And then the proper person would answer the questions and be identify that what happened and try to improve for the next time. So I think it's important to do it in the moment, because then people forget and don't have it very present what happened. It's like the kids, no? When they do something wrong, it's always better to let them know in the moment. Or when they do something right also. I would do it for both. When it's a good thing or a bad thing, let it share that with the person in a one-to-one just after the meeting, a few minutes to share ideas and create that healthy feedback.
That's brilliant. Yeah. Just as you were talking there, you mentioned emotional intelligence earlier, and I think, and we also talked about the important role of leadership here. Obviously, you're in a very senior leadership role, and you have your leaders reporting into you, and what you do, they follow. You know, you're role modeling how to coach, how to communicate. They're following you, and everybody else is following them. And I suppose the role of emotional intelligence is so important here, because you just talked about how important it is to be able to catch things happening, to be able to have the uncomfortable conversations, to be able to maybe know when to have impulse control, or when to, you know, do something, when to stop yourself. All of that is emotional intelligence. Do you feel, Leire, that there's more room for developing emotional intelligence in our workplaces?
For sure. Plenty of room. I think there would be room because we are different people together in difficult situations, and everyone has their own way of being. And it's not always easy to control our emotions. So for sure, there's a lot of room. And I think we should have that present every year, and maybe just refreshing the needs of that every year. But yes, I think there's always room for that. Yeah.
Did you ever go down the road of assessment for the staff members, anything like that? Emotional intelligence assessment?
Yes, we do that kind of work. Yeah. We do different assessments. So we do 360 degrees assessments. We do then also individual assessments, and then we analyze the results and we share it with the team.
Okay.
And in some cases, we put coaches to follow up someone, and in others, we just maybe just do the follow up from the manager point of view.
Okay, and I guess that helps with culture then. Yeah,
for sure.
Behaviors.
If it's not that complicated, then the proper leader takes the role of the coach. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, very good. And is there any other examples that you wanted to share with us, Leire? And Andy, sorry, hop in. I'm just here because this is my thing, emotional intelligence and all this. So I'm just taking over here. Hop in here and stop me.
All right. No worries. No, you're fine. But I do have some questions. You know, talk about hitting it in the moment. So it's two questions in this. One of them was around, you talked about what happened in, I think you said August last year. So for our listeners, it'd be cool if you just sort of touched on what that was. And then there's another piece to this is around, okay, when that happened, and there's so many external influences that can impact, you know, where your customers are or what you provide or how they make choices to whether to buy your product or not, that you just can't control, right? Yeah. So what happened in August last year, and is that aligned with the second part of the question that I had? And yeah, how do you keep your teams connected if everybody, including yourself, is sitting there waiting to see what's going to happen next? What's some of the really cool, creative or unexpected ways that you've managed to make that stick with your culture that you have there or you want to keep? So maybe there's 3 questions in that. So I'll just stop talking. If you want to fire off, that'd be great.
So I try to share with the team that they need to feel comfortable with change, okay, with continuous change. When we talk about VUCA environment, you need to feel comfortable with that environment. And the society was not used to that till before COVID. We were more, at least in the automotive sector, was a more stable sector, that people really used to do things one way. There was a lot of policies and standards that everyone followed, especially in Europe. And after COVID arrived, a lot of changes started to happen. I remember that I started having escalation calls every day. And at the beginning, you were stepping back like, well, how am I going to manage this? But when you start managing every single day, every single week, difficult situations, you start getting more experience. And also, you need to think to yourself that you need to feel comfortable with it. You cannot be afraid of every single thing that happens. And I always say it's just work, okay? Just try to compare with more critical things to put a little bit of balance. So what am I going to worry about this next day, next month, in 6 months? If it's not, then don't. It's okay. Just manage the situation. It's not the end of the life, and we'll go through it. It's just work. And that's also a sentence that I use a lot with people to try to maintain them calm and make sure that everyone works as they should and not get fear gather their attention. Okay.
Cool. Okay. And I'll just follow up with that. Have you gone on and done that and said, hey, relax, it's not the end of the world, to share specifically, but have you gone on and gone, well, hang on, you've gone a bit too far there. I've got to pull this back in because we went a little bit too change happy, I guess.
Well, I went through it myself also. I went through the different phases also. First resistance, then suffer, and then acceptance, and then try to improve. Okay, so you have to do the exercise first by your side, and then when you see the situation within the team, there's for sure moments that the things might go out of control. But as a leader, you just have to ask the team to, okay, let's step back. Maybe we need to stop the meeting and let's keep on going tomorrow when things are more calm, or just let them know, okay, don't worry, I'll manage. I'll speak with this person. I'll manage with this other person, and try to share a little bit of control in the team, because the most important thing is that the people feel safe. So you need to try to use your tools to make the people feel safe, because if they feel safe, they'll work correctly and they'll perform. If they are in a fear environment, things don't work.
And Leire, how can leaders develop themselves, continue to develop themselves to be able to do all of this, to be so resilient, to know how to handle these situations, to mind themselves, to all of this is so important. What do you think leaders need to do to continuously develop themselves in this way?
Well, first they have to be self-aware of how they are, how they act, and if they need to improve something. So they need to be aware that they want something to improve of how they manage situations. So self-awareness is important. There's different tools to create self-awareness. There's tests, there are 360 degrees assessments, as I shared. So first we need to be aware. So once you're aware, you need to, as a person, identify which are the your things that you want to improve. I want to improve in this area. I think I'm weak in this one. I want to improve in this other. And there's different. You need to create an action plan for yourself, and it's not something you do once and you don't do again. So you do it once. You improve yourself. There might be some things you need support from your leader. You might have to read some books. Hear some podcasts. You might have to do some training to convince yourself of things. You might have to have a coach. So there's tons of things that a person can do to develop themselves, and just keep on growing. So from me personally, I've been trying to improve all my life, and I really like the personal growth books. So it's something that I've been trying to do always. I had to work my speed on communication, because in Spain, in the north of Spain, we speak very fast. So I had to work on that. I had to work on my emotional intelligence, because we are very emotional. So I get mad, I laugh, I cry. And that's something, especially in a work environment, you need to control, because not everyone understands that kind of emotions, especially in the culture or the region where you're working. So it's not bad to have emotions, but you need to control them. So that's something that I also had to work a lot. And I'm now developing a new individual development plan that I'm going to share with my coach the coming week. So I keep on looking for improvement. Okay, so something that never ends.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's just really, I love it. I'm such a big believer in, you have to lead yourself first before you can lead anybody else. Really believe in that. So you're definitely role modeling that, Leire, and well done. That's really, really great. You've given us some brilliant information. I think very practical. You've got such a big job. It's not easy, but you understand it so well. You understand what's needed. You bring the structure, but you also understand how people need flexibility within all of that structure. And it's really made me think about how you do that, how you balance that, the flexibility within structure, because I get the sense that that's key to everything you do. And well done. I just think it's fantastic. Amazing. Andy, any last questions?
I just think observation, maybe. I think it's fantastic. I can tell and I can hear how self-aware you are, or you know, when I see a leader that's constantly working on themselves as well, it's not just, you know, you need to either be me or, yeah, and you're always looking for that improvement and having that coach and all of those things that show that you're actually a human being and you're happy to be vulnerable. We talk about that a lot, and the soft skill just keeps coming through. And one of my favorite quotes is, yeah, people don't buy what you do, they buy who you are. And I find that with the leaders, if I connect well with the leader and I trust them and all those things, that, you know, that culture's there in a positive way, I'll follow them, and generally I'll perform better, they'll perform better. So you've got a wealth of experience, and I just really appreciate you sharing that with us today. So that's really it for me. I think it's been fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. And if people want to find you, Leire, are you on LinkedIn, or
Yes,
where can
I'm
people?
on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram also. So with my name and my complete name, people can find me, and I'm open to share ideas and have conversations with whoever is willing to.
Well, thanks for that opportunity. And Catherine, I'll throw to you. What's been your key takeaway or moment in this conversation?
I think the two things we just talked about is really this whole idea of developing yourself. I mean, when you're in a big leadership role, a big senior leadership role like that, it's just so important. You can never get complacent. You're so busy, but you have to take the time to step back. To really not just be on the hamster wheel, to get off of it, to look at what's happening, spend time with people, link in, do your one-to-ones. I guess look at what's important and not just urgent. And that was kind of the sense that I get from Leire, that that's what she does and what she's really good at and why she's so good at her job. So I think that part stands out for me.
Yeah, such a and here we are. We're talking about challenges and hybrid environments. Our listeners, I'm pretty sure you'll see and hear again, because yeah, there's so much more that I want to unpack. We just don't have time right now. So yeah, reach out, connect in with Leire, and I'd love to go and visit it in Spain just as an excuse. So there we go. It's a beautiful part of the world. So thanks, Catherine. It's always awesome to jump on here with you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Lean Solutions podcast. Take it easy.